Right, so let's start today's lecture. Today's lecture is about data visualization, right? Data visualization has become the key player, the main aspects of big data. That is, it allows the company, it allows the organization to be able to see what happens at the moment. It allows the company to be able to explore into the inside structure of the data. And it also allows the investigator, the scientists, to see relationships between variables and understand the process more, right? And that is what we are going to take a look at today on how does it work, right? How to create visualization using a software like Tableau. Once you learn the concept here, you can further extend your knowledge toward the advanced functionalities of Tableau. You can also switch, if you don't like Tableau, you can also feel free to switch after this course. You can also switch to other platforms like Power BI, Click, and others, open software like 3D3JS and others. Right? So just let's see how does it work today. And what I want you to get, the knowledge that I want you to gain from this course is not just how to use Tableau, but also the general structure of this type of software. Once you see it, you see that when you try to implement something like this in your senior project, in your work later on, the structure of software is quite important, that you have to tease apart the data part, the model part, and the visual parts. And by playing them all together, you create a nice solution that would allow the authors to utilize and also can be modified according to the task. So let's dig in. Here, so what we are going to learn today is the basic concepts and interface and how to use Tableau, how to define the data connection, how to connect Tableau to the data source. Different type of data source, actually just define data source we explore. But you can use Tableau to connect to database as well. You can use it to connect to data lake, big data. You can use it to connect to data warehouse, to the existing system like the map server or others type system, right? But we are going to take a look at a very simple basic case here in the class because of to make it more modularity, right? And to use Tableau, you should use the one that is that is the version difference. Tableau desktop is for authoring Tableau. Tableau server is for hosting, just like web server is for hosting the content. Although it has a little bit of functionalities, allow you to create a dashboard, create the visual. But comparing to the desktop version contains much more than the other one. And there is also other types like Tableau Online, Tableau Public. I think those are the cloud service that you can create visual on the cloud. Although I don't really like that because I'm more familiar with working on my own computer, especially sometimes the data are quite sensitive. When you are deciding whether to use the public, whether to use the cloud software or whether you want to do it on your computer, sometimes it doesn't depend solely on what you want to use, but it depends on your task as well. Whether your task has to be confidential, whether you have the right to transfer data to outside, because violating that can get you into troubles. Right? And you should follow the policy, right? If you don't like the policy, then you can voice your voice in order to make the change in the policy. So yeah, so that's the difference between version, right? So today's agenda, we will take a look at the data connection, how to connect to the data using Tableau software. How can you edit and save the data sources, right? During this lecture, if you encounter troubles, don't know what to do, I would urge you to let us know as soon as possible. When you get into trouble, you don't know what to click next, ask immediately, right? I will help you on that. Okay, even though I might not be able to at the time, but we have TA that, so you can ask TA directly. You can ask in the chat, you can ask in the message, whatever. We'll stand by that. Okay, and we'll take a look at how to create a very simple visualizations that would allow you to at least create a basic visualization. And from these visualizations, you can pull them together and create a dashboard. Okay, let's take a look at how it works. What is Tableau? Right, Tableau is a visualization software that allows you to perform a business intelligence task. It allows you to connect to the data and create insight in terms of the visuals from the data. It can transform the raw data in the file, in the database, into a useful answer in the visual format. So there are three main types, but I suppose right now it might change a bit. But well, basically there are three main types. The one that we use today would be a Tableau desktop. Right? But that is what we are using today. Tableau server, we work with company like currently we are, Ajahn and me, provides consultant to a number of companies. And sometimes we encounter a situation that we have to create dashboards for them. And in order to host that dashboard at the company, hosting means that you want to publish it so that the dashboard would run automatically from the data source that it has and to provide visualization. You need the Tableau server. The Tableau desktop is used to create the content. Tableau server is used to share the content. Why, if you as a user don't want to purchase the desktop version or you don't have a fast enough computer, you can opt to the Tableau Online, which is the cloud. I'm not saying it here. You need to know the difference when you work with different versions. So the desktop, creating content, this is what we are going to take a look at today. When you are more advanced and work with a company, you may encounter a situation that you have to learn to administrate or to monitor Tableau server, which support the publishing to other types of these browser. Imagine if you have your own company and your company need to deploy such a system, right? Deploy the business intelligence system to say your client. Then you can have a server like this. It doesn't have to be Tableau. It can be other types of server. It can be the auto visualization server. But you need to have a server that hosts the content, and then you need to have the authoring software that allow you to create content and publish things onto that. Okay. The sound is not okay. Let me find a way to fix that. Sorry about that. It's because of the computer microphone. Let me use this instead. Should help. Let me, okay. Connecting to it already. So do you hear me through the headphone? All right. Yeah. Okay. So it probably because of the computer microphone. Yeah. I'm going. Don't worry. I will buy the new big microphone here for you guys, so that it would well. I'm a kind of microphone key, so yeah, it is better to have one, especially for the online class. I don't really like to wear these things in video conferencing and in others. Well, it's for entertainment. When you wear something like this, I think it's more like, well, personal space or others. So never mind. Okay. Yeah. Let's move on. So let's see how it works. I suppose you should be now installing your software, or maybe it has already finished and then you can use them. Right? If not, if you cannot do it in the class, you can watch the lecture later on. I will try to upload it today, but because encoding the video need about 1 hour. So
editing video is like another hours. So I'm not sure if I can work on that, finish it by today or not. But I will try if it's okay. So you can have this lecture later on, because this lecture would have like instructions on how to use the software, and maybe, well, you can skip this part obviously, and you can, when you learn review it again, you can just jump to that, okay, that position. That will make things a lot easier. Okay, so features, right? Well, in the exam, I'm not going to ask you the features like this one, right? So try to be familiar with it. Right, so it's not like I'm going to ask you to remember these things. It's not worth remembering, right? You should know what the software can do. You should know the functionalities. But in terms of remembering, I'm not like asking you to be. That actually, Tableau has this. What do we call certificates, right? It has the Tableau company has issued the certificates because it has a types of test online that you can go and test and become something like a Jedi or a gurus for Tableau. And actually, becoming a gurus in the using visualization it is actually a very ludicrous job in the company. If you are gurus in Tableau, which there aren't many in Thailand, many companies would want you to work with them because you can suggest, you can create a teams that allow them to create visualizations, and then and also maybe deploying the systems in this regard. So yeah, learning about this thing will allow you to well, it would enhance the skill. So knowing it is good. Okay, so what can it do, right? You can use Tableau to explore data. Right? You can see that comparing between Excel and Tableau, this one is a lot easier in creating a graph, okay? And this software is actually originated from the university, right? This is the collaborative work from a professor at the computer science and electrical engineering at Stanford University, and his PhD students and researchers. They create a software, and they create a language called WizQL, and they publish this work in an academic journal back in I think 2004. And afterward, they kind of built a software based on this concept and then commercialized them. It has become like a magic software for companies around the world. Right? So this is one of the, I would say, the rising star in business intelligence back then in 2014. Right now, it has become a mature and one of the main players in the field. Okay. It allows you to perform the data pre-processing and data prep. We'll see how it works, but I'm still suggest, well, I still like working on preparing data on Python, on Pandas instead of this one, because of the performance issues. But you can see how it works here, so it might help anyway. And it also supports the distributed computing and parallel computing. This means that you can connect and you can design systems. Say, instead of having the system like this, like you have this desktop published to the server, just one server, and then you have client consuming this. Instead of this, you can create a more complicated system. That is, you have the database server, you have load balancing application server, a bunch of them. You have the data aggregation server, and then everything work as Tableau server. And the desktop published to the cluster, and the consumer also consume content from the cluster. So it can be configured as a cluster so that it could work in the distributed manner. I would say that most of the data visualization software support this type of mode. And this is quite cool, especially when you deploying a system. You can scale it to be a large system. You can make it work in the standalone part, right? So yeah, so this is how it works here. So what is WizQL that I mentioned? This is just like SQL, just like SQL. I don't know if we can call it WSQL, but no, WSQL would do. Right, this is based on the software called Polaris. This is the which is developed from Stanford. This is the work of the collaborative work between professor, lecturer, and researcher. Professor, researcher, and the PhD students together. Right? They created this software and they commercialized. This software allows you to do data visualization. It would use the concept of table algebra, data classification, automatic data classification, and create a visual mapping between the types of data to the type that they think you want to see. Like if they see the data in numeric format, they would think that you want to see distribution. If they see the data, if the system see the data in a categorical format, they would think that you would want to see a bar chart, for example. So, or a table. So by guessing something like this, mapping it like this, it allows the user to easily access to the types of visualization. So that's a feature, nice feature there. If you want to know more about how this concept work mathematically, I would suggest this paper. Just click onto this link and it will direct you to the site. It will direct you to this site. This is a paper on the IEEE transactions on visualization and computer graphics back in 2002. That is before the software called, this is before Tableau, many years before Tableau, 18 years ago, imagine. This is the origin of this software. The work is called a system of query, analysis and visualization of multi-dimensional relational database. So Stolt, Tang, and Hanrahan created a type of descriptive model, a type of a way that they think user and the user experience might want it to be this way for visualizing the data. So this is happening at almost the same year as the Human Genome Project. Human Genome Project is a project to map human DNA. So one of the first version was out in 2001. I work on this types of project a bit on 2007. So I am familiar with this a bit. But back then, one of the issues that had been troubling most of the researchers and scientists are how to create visualization from the data. How can you access the data and then create a good mapping between them? So this is one of the proposal, right? So instead of using just pivot table, they extend the concept of that toward displaying the data. So if you want to know detail, you can take a look at this. It contains good explanation about a way that the data should be displayed, the elements of the software called Polaris, and the table algebra, right? The concept of table algebra that can be used to generate graphic. I think this is one of the original proposal. The prior would be the one that is proposed by, like, I don't remember the name, about the graphics that is used to visualize different types of data. But this one lay out most of the user experience. That is, if you want to view the data both in terms of the categorical data together, you should concatenate them, or you can cross them or nest them depending on the operators, right? And these are the things that would happen when different types of data are modified together. So I'm not going to cover this. Mostly people who read these types of articles are PhD students and master students. But if you want to understand more on the inside of the software, I would suggest you read this paper. It's not hard comparing to the other papers that I work on. because this is more like the explanation of the software and explanation in the higher level sense. So I suppose you can understand it easily, given that you have a little bit knowledge of SQL of the database already. Okay, so I will leave this to you, and if you want to understand more about how the mechanism of this type of things work, I would suggest that take a look at this. Right. For now, let's move on. Right. So the software works like this one. You are the investigator, and then you have to connect the data and then search for the structure in the data through the software. Once you got that, you can develop this into an insight, into a visual or a dashboard. And then you or the authors can use this visual in order to act, in order to perform action in the company, in the organization, which would drive the task that you need to do. And then by driving the task, this again would collect more data that you can analyze first. So it's kind of a loop that is similar to when you learn in data model. But in this, we are focusing on creating visualization. Okay. So what types of data are suitable to use with this type of software? The data should be in this format. I would say that the data should be in the tidy data format. That is, the data in terms of the columns, it should contain the variables, right? And in terms of row, the data should contain each elements of the thing that you want to analyze. It can be the transaction, sure, or it can be the summarization of the unit of analysis that you want. If you want to create a visualization about people, each row should contain people. If you want to create a visualization about the logo of region, each row should at least be the level of region. So that depends on the level of interest that you want to display. But I would suggest that the data should be at least up to that detail for you to exploit. Right? So it should, for each row, it should contain the unit of analysis that you want. It can be transaction level, it can be person level, it can be the time level, but that might be too detailed sometimes, right? Imagine, suppose you gather the data from a device, and each 5 seconds, the data are logged into the system. That means each row are 5 seconds apart. But if your analysis does not really need to have the detail of 5 seconds, then you might consider to aggregate or summarize the data into the higher level. Like each row may contain a daily explanation, for example, right? And then the column would be a variable that you want to analyze. Might be the average of that value, might be the aggregate sum, it might be the variations. So you need to decide on the variable for that particular task in the aggregation step, right? So at least first you need to have data in tabular format. That means for unstructured data, you need to transform those unstructured data like text into the tabular format before you can analyze this. Okay, next, after you have data, you need to connect the data to the software. Tableau has this types of data model that you can define connection between the data and the program. And it treats this as the main core concept of the data model in Tableau. That is, you have your data source, right? And this data source, when you connect to it, it would not work like in Excel, that is you connect to the data and then you just, and then you got the chunk of data and you can modify them. It doesn't work like that. You need to define a data model. This data model would be specified in terms of variables in this table, in this data set. The connection level is responsible to connecting to the database, to the file. So it needs to contain information like the connection, which database we use, which types of file to be used, the encoding of the file, security issues, and others here. And the data model level, this is about joining the table together. So it needs to contain a way that the tables from different sources would be joined. And lastly, the VisQL model here defines the visual data, the visualization that you want to view, and how these visuals are created based on the variables, right? So it should define those things, right? It defines the link between visuals and the data. And connecting the whole thing together, you get a visualization that can be updated automatically when the data at the connection site change. Let's see what are the responsibilities of each of these levels. The connection level stores information about how to access the data. So if you join the data from multiple databases together, creating a view should be at this level. You'll see how it works later on because I will show you the demonstration. Using the Superstore data, okay. And then for the data model, oh yeah, I might have forgot to upload the file. It will work as we have here. At least we have the data that I distributed last time for the lab. Okay, and the data model level, this will contain the abstraction of the data itself. It will contain the explanation of the columns and the types of data, and then you need to define it so that you can create a visualization that use data model for visualization. Okay, so let's take a look at the software. Okay, I'm going to share the screen and then open the software at the same time. So here, well, this is the Tableau software. You can see on the left-hand side, it contains the connection that you can choose. Right? It will look like this. When you contain a connection that you can choose to connect to the Tableau server. This is the Tableau public server. If you put the file on the cloud, you can connect to the file, which allow you to connect to the CSV file, to the Excel file, to the JSON file, PDF, and others, many types of other file. Right? You can connect to a bunch of file here. The file from Tableau itself, the file from other software like SAS, and the plain text file like CSV and JSON. You can connect to database, like you can connect to the MySQL database or the Microsoft SQL database. Or you might want to connect to the author's database, like there's an option to connect to like this MariaDB, connect to the MongoDB, connect to Google BigQuery, Google Drive, connect to Dropbox, connect to other databases, to the Cloudera, Hadoop, to connect to the big data system. So these are options that allow you to connect to database. Quite a number of them here. All right, for now, I'm going to connect to this file called superstore.xlsx. I think I forgot to put it onto the group. Let me find it on my computer here, and I'm going to upload it to the group. Let's see. Should contain something like D1, D2, like that. Should be somewhere in my computer. Found it. D1 superstar.csv. XLSX here. I see, already at this data set. All right, let me share it with you. I'm going to post it to our group. Please wait a moment. I'm posting the link to the group. You can download the data from this link. Here, tree data. In it, you can download the data. How come there's the link like data home product? Sorry, something happened. I need to remove this out. I don't like the suggestion here. It's kind of when you kind of trying to suggest the name of people that I want to tag or I want to use. But sometimes I just type data because I just want to type data, not tagging other people. Right, I have posted the link onto the group. Please go and download it. Let me share the screen here. Here, I have already put it here. Download the data from this link, and then we will use it in the class. All right. So just go and download the data first. It's in the Facebook group. I'll be back. Back. Okay. Did I put it into the right group? Suppose. Yes. Yeah, the right group. All right, let's see how it works. First, I'm going to connect this to, oh, sorry, I need to copy it as well. I need to copy the data from that folder. Subject again. I teach too many subjects and got confused. Here, data set, 2 of them, and put that into this. Three. Okay. All right, I'm going to connect the Tableau to the Excel file. So what I need to do is to just click here and then go to the, where is this? Go to the folder, teaching, and lab 3, and D1 Superstore AL is X. Okay, once you connect that to, once you connect your software and you connect your Tableau into the file, it will show you this screen. Okay, let me explain how you can integrate this. On the left-hand side here, you see the connection. This will tell you that right now Tableau connect to this D1 Superstore. And this will show you the sheet that available. And these are the data sources. You can manipulate the files. Like if you want to union the two files, you can joining the two files, you can do it here. If your data sources come from different database, you can create a query. Or if your database that you connect contains multiple tables, you can create queries that create types of data view and then use it as the data to put it to the data model. So the required task would be to drag this sheet onto the data model areas, and the data that are contained in your model would be displayed down here. So let's try doing that. Somehow I think the font on my computer is quite small, but I hope that you can keep up with this, because I think it's quite difficult to change preference here on Mac. One of the way that might work, I can share this one, but that would be hurt. Never mind. So I'm going to drag order to this area. Okay, dragging it to the main area here would mean that you want to use the order table as the main source, and the area below would show you the data, the current data model. That is like the results of joining data. Okay, so dragging order to the data model, you get this one. You have option here to choose between live and extract. What does it mean by these two? Live connections means that this data model would use the live data. It would use the data from the sources. If the data from the sources change, your visualization will change automatically. You can see that this is quite good option, because it allows you to create a live visualization. However, if you work in an environment that sometimes you need to put this data onto the tablet, or onto a laptop, and you will not have an ability to connect to the server, to the data set, then you can opt to extract the data and just store it as a chunk of data on your computer. Okay, so for now, for this one, it doesn't matter, because, well, it's the files on my computer anyway. So yeah, that's how it works. And you can see the data types down here, where that the row ID is this sign hash, order ID is ABC, order date is has a symbol of calendar. And if you click by row ID, if you click this, it will show you different types of data supported that you can declare. This is the data type. So you can change it to order type if you think that, okay, this number should not be treated as number. Maybe it should be treated as text. You can change it to text here. You can even assign something like geographical rows. That means you say that this is a postcode. This is not just number. This is the postcode. You can use this to identify the location on the map, and that is done by specify the geographical row here. This one can be changed later on if you learn the advanced Tableau. You can create your location. Say you have branch in different provinces. You want the name of the branch, like your company hyphen the branch. Then you might want to put the latitude and longitude of your branch onto that location. You can do by customize the geographical row. That's the advanced version. Never mind. Right. So you can see the data types. There are different data types, right? Usually displayed here in colors. The blue color indicate the dimension data types. This is the categorical data. The green indicates measures, which is a continuous numerical data types. You can use this to identify data. You can define data according to these two data types. It also depends on on the level of detail that you want to show. And understand that the level of detail is very important in creating visualization. For example, if I work with for example, if I can access your grade data. Individually, I will see the grade and the student ID, right? I would and access this type of data. This might be your student ID, subject, and the grade, right? But say if I want to see how each department perform differently, I might need to have another table, right? That contain ID and the department. And then I need to join them together using the ID. And then suppose that what I want to know is how each department perform in each grade. So the level of detail that I'm talking about would not be just individual students. I might need to change the view into this. That is, instead of having the student ID there, I might need to have like the department and the subject and the grade, right? And you can see that for this one, the level of detail of visualization that you want to create would not be at the level of students, but it would be at the level of department. So identifying the level of detail suitable for each question is quite critical, right? Because whether your visualization will be correct or incorrect, sometimes it depends on the data, the view here that you design. So so by combining all dimensions of data together, you create the level of detail, the basic level of detail of the data. Right? You can see you will see later on in the Superstore data, it has certain level of detail, but you might want to change the detail to be at the other level. For example, you might do a visual to be at the level of per person instead of per individual or per individual purchase or per item. So you might want to change the detail in that level, right? And we can do that later on, right? So determining proper level of detail is quite important here. And the two here will need to be aggregated. Think about the function group by in Python or in R, right? When you use group by, you want to change the level of detail of unit of analysis, right? You want to change it from per transaction into per person. You might want to change it into per order or per region, right? So determining the right detail is critical, well, in creating graph. Okay, so what are the different data types that Tableau has, right? You can have the text type, right? This is just a simple string. Usually indicated something like a string in the data, or it might be the category, right? It can be either the string or category, okay? If the data set contains category, you might want to see the aggregation, right? If you have like the last one here, oh, it's gone. That's right here. Like in this, if it is the category, so let me put it here. How come it's gone? It can be the category, or it can be just a string. For the category, you can use it for aggregation. For the string, you might just want to display it. Sorry for the shorthand. It's quite hard to write with your this thing. So this is text data. Next one is the date type, right? Just like in Python, you have date time. This is the date type. The green one here is the numerical value. Numerical value. Think about it. You might think about the numerical value as just number, and the number if aggregating it has certain meanings like cells like grade that you calculate the aggregation like a GPA and it has meaning, right? This should be in green called measure, right? You want it to be a measure. If it's in blue, then it means that you have something like row index of data. Just look at this one. Your row ID is the blue hash, which means that this is the number, but it is dimension, right? While the cells here is green hash, which means that this is the measure. You can calculate aggregation of the measure. When we work in Python, usually we would not have a clear definition like this. We would need to know by ourselves that you should not calculate aggregation of ID. This is what you need to know by yourself, right? But for Tableau, it's kind of detecting the name. If the name contains ID, then when it contains ID, then it should be a number that not used in aggregation. Okay, and it contains Boolean and the geographic as well. Okay, so try make a guess on what types of for these data types. What should it be? Should it be dimension or should it be measure? Okay, now's your time. For number, should it be dimension or measure? Dimension, correct. Next, customer types. Whether this customer should be residential or corporate. Dimension or measure? Dimension, correct. How about we are talking about calling customers? The minutes of outgoing call, should this be dimension or measure? Measure, that's correct. Last one, location, dimension or measure? Dimension. I put it here like province, because if we talk about the province, it should be dimension. But if we talk about location as the latitude and longitude can be averaged, and that will make the value measure, all right? But for this one, yeah, it's a dimension geographic. Good. Okay, yeah, let's move on. I'm going to show you how to interact with the data here. There are certain things that you should know, like if you move your mouse onto the up here, the right hand side of the column, you see that there is this menu. It contains like the basic menus that you see in many software. Like you can rename it, you can copy the value and then put it into Excel. You can create alias. What does it mean by alias? Let me show you this. Suppose for the region here, no, I'm not going to use region. I use other thing. Let's see. Maybe customer segment. Yeah, for the customer segment here, I'm going to create an alias. And aliases allow you to create a nickname or the name that we use to replace this value. For example, consumer, I might change consumer to something like residential, right? And then corporate become corporate. Home office becomes something like SME, and then click OK. And then everything in the segment would change to residential and SME. So this is like this refactoring or renaming every value here. These are the alias. You can create a calculated field, which means that you can create a formula that work on this a bit. I'll show you how it works out later on. You can create a group that group the value together, and once you have this variable as a group, you can use it for this. But it's quite advanced formatting, so you can take a look at that yourself later on. You can split the data, like if I were to use this product ID column and then click split, it will split the column into 3 columns based on the delimiter that I put in. So this is like, remember in Python that we have also the similar function like this one. Okay, let's see. For example, here we have profit and quantity, right? I can go to the profit and then create the calculated field. Calculated field is like a formula. So I'm going to create like a unit of unit profit, right, per item, right? Unit profit per items. And this would, and for this one, I can write the formula down here. And so you can see that because I use profit as the main here, the profit show here as well. The symbol here in orange and then square bracket indicating variable. I can put in more variables like I can use profit and then divide by quantity. I type Q and then it go up quantity and then select quantity. So this would be profit divided by quantity. Click OK, and then you get another column called unit profit per item out. And this can be used, you can see in the small gray text here that this is calculation. And the text down here would indicate the table that it's from. Right? These are from the table called order. Okay. And then you can join the table as well. This can come from the same data set, or it can come from different data set. It can come from different data source. So for now, I already have the table called people here. I'm going to join the people to order, right, by just dragging it here, and you can see that I'm not releasing the mouse. You can see the line here. This means that you are going to connect the two, to join the two together. But if I were to put it down here, this would mean union. So be careful, okay? What are the difference between the two? Union should be used if you have two tables that have similar format. Union, right? Concatenate, right? But if you want to merge them, right? Joining the table, put it elsewhere like this one, right? Then the table people will come here and it will prompt you to select the joining between the two tables. So this is my database. So I'm going to go quickly because the table people contains region and person. I'm going this, you can see the Tableau try to connect region to region. You can create fuzzy join as well, like more than or less than. This is fine as well, right? But I'm not going into the detail here. And you can add more field if the joining requires multiple field as a key. Right? And there are a performance option that you can choose, like the cardinality, whether it should be 101 and other. Well, I leave this as the advanced version, advanced study on this. If you want to understand how to tuning the visual to be faster, you need to configure the cardinality of the joining. So this would require the knowledge of database, which you have already learned. Okay, so by doing this, I have already defined the connection between the table order and the table people. So if I click order, you will see that this is the order, this is the people. Clicking out, these are the connection between them. How can I click out? They changed the interface, so I'm a bit stuck here as well. I'll be selecting both. No, never mind. How to see? So by doing this, I have already joined the two together, but how to select both in terms of viewing? Usually in the previous version, when you drag it in, define the join type, whether you want inner, left, right, or outer, then it will just show, right? But for now, I don't know. Anyone know how to do that? How to unselect this? Double click to add join union. No. How do I unselect it? Come on. Help me here. Or I can't. Let's see if I just click here and click back. No, it doesn't show. Never mind. Well, at least it has, find out yourself. At least you can now click and then see that it show different table and it define the joining between them. It should have some functional, it should have a way to just do it both, but I don't know now. Okay, so now you have the columns of the two tables joining together. One, you know that they are joined when you click to the next, like sheet 1, you will see that there will be options from table order and there will be options from table people. And then you can drag the variables of these two onto the area up here to create visualization. You'll see how it works later on. Okay. You can also add more data. Like, sorry, this is not adding the filter. It is adding more data. Like I might want to add additional data in that so that I can put the data from other sources like text data. Then I can add the one return. This is the return data. Right, this is the return data. Sorry. How come? It doesn't change. Stuck somehow. Is it hanging? All right. I think it's somewhere freeze. It's frozen already. Might be because of my computer here. Interact with it. Maybe I will need to switch to teach on the laptop instead. But this will be problematic because on it, and maybe I need to restart it. Restart the software. Okay, I still can use it at this point. But I cannot, can I? I'll just drag it in. All right, never mind. Okay, so by double click or drag it to the area, you're now creating the joining between them. But you can see that the data here, I'm going to drag it out for now. If you click on this view data, it will show you the data here. This data contains the order ID and that this order ID has been returned, right? So think about the data set here. The data set contains multiple orders and each order contains multiple items. And this table contains the list of items, the list of order that has been returned. So can you tell me what types of join should I use to define relationship between the one return and the order? You have 4 types: inner, left, right, and outer. Which type of join should I use? Any guess? Come on. Left. Which question mark? Be confident. Say left in capital. Like it's easy. Yeah, left join, sure. Right. Because why left join? Because if you do the inner join, you get only the returned items, right? But your data should contain more than returned items. So I'm going to just doing the left join, putting it here and defining the joining type to be the left join, which can be done by how? Previous version, you got this left join, right? Saying that it is left join. But this version is a bit problematic here. Should be one too many. or one-to-one. Can I just define the left join here? Let me figure it out a bit. The version change and I kind of not keeping up to the change in version. This should be many to one. Right, one value for this return would be mapped to many value for the order. Okay. Yeah, I suppose it should work now. I don't know why they changed it into this one. It's harder to use. But you can tune the performance for sure, but well. All right. What happened? What happened? Did my connection lost somehow? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay. Right. All right. So after you join this is at the level of data model. Once you have the data model, you can create a visualization by going to the next one. Right. Right. Once you get that, you can go to the. Okay, you can create a filter right, at the data model level. This filter allow you to filtering the data. Like add a filter here. You may add a filter like you want the data to have the profit that is at least 0. And then you can just click here. And this would be the filter called profit greater than or equal to 0. When you click OK, you see that the data model you have here will contains only the positive profit. Okay, and you have this one filter up here. Okay, but for now, I'm going to remove this filter out so that I will get the full data, right? Full data both in deficit and both in profit. Okay, yeah, this is how you create a filter. And yeah, you get the result here. Split column, I already talked about that. Now let's start creating a workbook. Tableau defines different types of visuals to be 3 types, right? To be 3 levels of visual. First is the worksheet. The second one is the dashboard. And the last one is a story. What we are going to look at today will be how to create worksheet, how to connect to the data and create the graph from each from the data source to answer your question, right? So I'm going to create a new worksheet, but instead of creating a new one immediately, I'm going to go to sheet 1 because we already have this up. Okay, go to sheet 1, and it will show you this one. I will try to explain first on the interface here so that you see how it works. Right? First, you have the above menu and toolbar, and so it contains most of the menu. Left-hand side here contains list of variables and dimension. So this is the data tab, contain like list of variable and dimension. And here, if you join multiple data sources, this will contain like multiple lists of database that you can select from. But because right now we use just one data model, it contains just one. You can let's creating a simple line chart now by double-click profit and double-click order date. Let's see where's the profit. The profit is down here. This is measure in green. You can double-click it, right? Selecting it, double-click it. See this what happened. Once you double-click the profit, what you create would be the above here, that it would put the profit into row and create it as sum of profit. Why is that? The default behavior of Tableau would try to aggregate, right? It would try to summarize in a summation way of the measure of the numerical data. So for this one, it will create the sum of profit, and then trying to show you the visual. The visual, when you have just one value, is to show it as the line, right? It's to show it as the, not the line, the bar, just one bar, right? And once you double click the order date here onto this, it would instead generate this line chart, because when you add both the date and the value together, the software guesses that you want to see line chart. Why is that? Because when you have the value as date, you want to see the trend, you want to see the change in the value, right? And you can change the fitness here to say, I'm going to change it to fit width, and you get the whole thing here. Right, so you see this, the graph would be different a bit because I forgot to remove the filter, but you get the idea here. So by adding the field, you get the graph, and you see down here. Sorry, it's quite small in my computer. You see down here. Let's look at this. You see down here that it contains the value that is sum profit equal to 3,500, right? 35,000. Sorry, and it contains 4 marks. 4 marks means that the application, the summarization of the points are 4 times, right? You have 4 dots, and these 4 marks would be combined, is currently displayed in 1 row and 4 columns. So what I want you to look at is this 4 marks. Now, this is called the status bar, like in Windows, normal Windows, show you the number of marks that are currently calculated. Number of marks mean number of summation. So it tells you how many times that this visualization performed calculation, right? Next one is the analytic tab. Analytic tab is over here beside the data. The analytic tab allows you to add some of the options to show you the analytics options, like add the trend lines, add the range. You can add a lot of things into the visualization, like you can plot scatter plot and then add a trend line. You can plot a bar chart and then add a line to show the relationship. All right, and so the basic function is summarization. These are the lines. Model, which allow you to create the trends and the forecast and the clusters. And the last one is some customization you can do for both. Right, and the last one is the tab control, which I already told you that this can be created using, you can create a sheet, dashboard, and stories from this. And the above here are the shelf, or sometimes these are called card. You can drag variables onto this area to create different visualization. We'll try that later on. Okay, and the last one here is the mark card. Mark card allow you to control what visual you can see. Like you can change from line, which is automatic, into a bar chart, into a point chart using the mark card. Okay, now let's switch to the data pane. Okay, in the data pane here, I'm going to drop the region onto the color. Right, color is here. So I'm going to drag region to the color. Region here, dragging it to color. So what happened would be, I'm going to minimize this. The Tableau, because this is dimension, the functionality of dimension in Tableau is to divide, right? For the green, the measure would be to aggregate. The category will be used to divide. So it divides the lines into 4 lines and then annotate it using color, because we drag it to color. Now we have each value containing the sum profit changed by years according to different types of region. Okay, from this one, we can already analyze that the area in the central and the south have the sales down in the last year, in this year, 2015. But central and east, no, west and east go up. So just by looking at doing this simple step, we can see the difference of data trends in the data. Okay. Now we have one question coming in. I figure out how to perform join. You have to double click on the table first and then drag the other table into the table. Have to double click on the table first and then drag other table into the table. This one. But this is already join.
No, that's only the relationship between the table. You can double click the order. And then you can drag the other table. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So wow, this is the new one. Actually, this you can define this means that you can define the join or you can define relationship.
It's like the ER diagram in It's not really a join.
So although it's not really a join, but you can still use the data from different table, right?
Yes.
For example, I can still use this and then say annotate with the text. Then here, different area would also display different text. So even though the data are not joined, but you can use the data in the same way based on the relationship definition here. Okay, but yeah, having that join, physically join the data is also good. That is, you can drag the data inside and then having the same thing that you just joining the two tables together. And then we can define this as the left join, just like in my sheet here. Okay, well, new interface is nice. Okay. Now, when we take a look at this, you would have the returned column here and the returned column up here. Well, joining at the same key, and it will solve as this. Okay, good. Thank you. Well, interface change. You need to keep update. Right, so you will see the legend over there. Now let's take a look at how to export the data. Once we have the data like this, you can also extract the data out. Extract the data out allow you to save the data onto the save this data. Right? Extract the data, and then you can save the data and then use it later on. Right, this one you can extract it and say if I were to extract it to lab number 3, and here save it. Here I will have the file.hyper. Right, the file.hyper here is the joining between different tables. And later on, if you save this worksheet, you can save it as TWB and TWBX. Right. The difference between the two is that the TWB would save only the visuals. It does not save data. This is good if you have like a shared repository of data that you can connect to the data later on. For the TWBX, this one would save both data and the visual together. So you have a big file. It will not be, you will not be able to send it via email, because it will be big. If your data is like a megabyte, multiple hundred of megabyte in size, then you will package it together with the sheet, and it will be hard to send over the internet. So for now, because I have already extracted, if you go back to the data source, it will change to extract. And then this means that currently the data sheet would be referencing to this file, the extract file that I use here. Okay. You can switch back to live, and then it will just connect to the data source that we have. But never mind that, right? We will just move on. Okay. Well, here, save it, and there will be 2 options. I'll have some description here. TWB with small files, TWBX with large files. Save. Now let's create a new worksheet. You'll see how to create the line chart already. You need to use the line, and you need to use the numerical data and the date. Now let's drag it, right? drag cells to row and drag category to columns. First, by start dragging cell to row. Right? By dragging cell to the row, you can see that the result is the same as double click. It means that you want to display cells in row level, and row means that display the cells value in the row, right? This is the row. And so it show you a line, right? You can display it along this one. If I were to drag category to columns, this would divide this to 3 columns, right? To 3 columns. Each columns here indicate the sum of cells. This is the bar chart. The difference between color indicate the measure and the dimension. Okay. For measure, it would be green pill. In a green pill, you can convert into dimension. You can convert it into discrete or continuous. And good thing is that it support the table calculation. Table calculation, like calculating the difference, calculating the percent of total, convert to percentile, create a moving average. This is like you want, because what happened here is that you can see that what happened is the division, is the separation of data into groups and then aggregate to the group. But sometimes you want to compare between groups. For example, I might, I will show you later on, I will create a visualization that group the data according to months, and afterward I will calculate the difference between each month, which means that each cell, each group has to be combined and then calculated, compared to one another. And this is one of the good features here in this software. Okay, so for the green one, it allows you to do such a thing, allows you to do the table calculation. For the blue pill here, it allows you to partition the data into measures, and then you can also sort the blue pill. You cannot sort the measure data, but you can sort the dimension data. Okay, now let's try this. Now we are going to create a different types of visuals, starting from the bar chart. You can change this to a stack bar chart. I'm going to drag the segment onto color. And now you've got the stack bar chart. For the bar chart, I'm going to go back here. Stack bar chart. What you want to convey here is the difference between categories, right? But if you want to convey both the difference in the category and the ratio, right, segment to color, right, and the ratio or the proportion of the values inside each of the category, you can use stack bar chart to do that. Okay, so stack bar chart will allow you to see the values at the same time as proportion. Now, if from this point I drag segment, the same variable here, onto the one beside column here, what I'm trying to do here would be, I'm going, just like what I'm saying here, just like this, that I'm going to not just separate it by, not just separating segment by color, but I'm going to also separate segment by column. So each color would be at each column. And from this, we can see the trends, the change in terms of different categories. The above would be the type, the product category. And down here, for each inside here, these would be the segments, right? So you can see that by combining variables, we can create visualization according to the detail that we want. But we need to have an idea first on what should be the proper level of detail to create that visualization, to answer the question that we have. In the class, usually I will be the one to give that requirement to you guys. But in real life, you need to think, you get only questions, and then you need to think about the answers, right? So in order to answer that question, what visualization should you use? And what detail of that visualization should be conveyed? What variables should be in the visualization, and what form that are needed, right? So the thing that I'm teaching you here would be mostly the how, but the what would need to come from analyzing the problems. You will learn that more in the business intelligence class with Ajahn Paul, with Ajahn Anjalisa later on, I think next semester. But for now, let's learn on the how to create different visualization and try to play around with these tools. Right? Okay, let's move on. So by putting that, you are now creating a side-by-side bar chart. Stack bar chart is used for comparing between group and at the same time comparing between itself so that you know the proportion. Okay, if you need to convey this information, use stack bar chart. If you just want to convey different values of category, use the bar chart. If you want to compare two variables at the same time, you should use this side-by-side chart, because a stack bar chart has one problem. You can see that the starting point for the blue in each bar here are different. That means if you want to compare across the segment, it will be difficult, right? Doing it this way is better, because you can see that this one is the largest between them. And for the orange one, this one is the largest, right? And for the red one, it's almost no different. But you can see the difference here. Obviously, this is a side-by-side bar chart. It's good to compare the change in numerical values when you have multiple category, multiple dimension. All right. And now for this chart, you can kind of adding in more information into that, like adding label. This can be done by just clicking label and then click show mark label. It will show this mark label, right? You can change to different way to interact with this, like from all label, you can click add selected, and the label will happen only when you select the bar. This is for selected. You can change this to highlight, which means that every time you highlight, including selected, and doing something like this, it will show you this label. Or you can choose min and max. Min and max would this is min and max in the pane. It will show you the min and max in each pane. Each pane means each local area here. Or you can say each table, so you show just min and max in the table. So these are the things that you can select for the label. Okay, you can change many things, like you can click on the size and then change the size of the bar. You can click on the tooltip. These are the tooltip. You can click on the tooltip and then say this is a tooltip, and then click OK. And then you get this is a tooltip, and then you can reformat this. You can see that there are plenty of options to do here. I will urge you to explore the software, right, to get to know it better. My class here our class here would be mostly introduction, so just so that you get familiar with it. But the real work would come from you increasing your experience with the software. All right. You can now let's create a line chart. We can create a line chart. Now we are dragging things. I'm going to drag the sales to row and order date to column. Sales, I'm dragging it to the row, and when you see that it will happen like this every time. When you drag the measure to the row, or to the column, just one measure, it will show you just the bar, because people see the bar and can distinguish the bar better. But instead of dragging the category called column like ABC, I'm going to drag the order date, which show as the date, onto columns, and then it will show you the change here each year. Then you can change. Actually, you can change the type of visual that would be shown here. Like I can change from automatic to bar chart. It will show you the bar chart instead of an automatic, which is a line chart. Right, select bar, and then you get that. You can create a multiple axis, like dragging profit to the right hand side. You see the dash line here, releasing that, And then you now creating the thing that is called dual axis, right? Dual axis chart, meaning that right now, profit is displayed using the right-hand side and sales is displayed using the left-hand side. Right? But you can see that the range are different. And if you want to see the graph, because you cannot see the graph right now, because they are overlapped, let's change profit to line. I'm going to select, you can see this is all marked, selecting just profit and then change it to line. Right now you got this line, the blue one as profit, and the orange one, these are the sales. Okay. Well, if you don't like the color, you can always change it here. Maybe this is like too bright. You can click on this. Come on. I think double click should do the work, but somehow doesn't work on this. What happened? It's freezing again. Possibly because of my computer here at the department. Right. Okay, it's coming, I guess. Yeah, it's not good enough for Tableau, maybe. But well, you can double click that and then change the color. So since I cannot do it now, you can do it by yourself. Right, so change it to line and you get this one. If you want the axis to be, because you can see that this is 95K, this is 350K. If you want them to be equal, you can synchronize the axis by right click here and select synchronize the axis, then both axes will be synchronized. If you want to change back, just click here and then take off the synchronized axis, and then you get this off. Okay, this is the way that you can combine the two charts to one chart. Right, this is called, right, and you can add just min max to this one. To add just min max to the profit, click label and then select min max. Right, and then and then show label, and then you get the min and max here. Right. Okay, and you can edit the tooltip as well. So I'm going to go to the cell, the bar here. I don't like this. I'm going to edit it to this format. Like saying sales information of this year and the sales is equal to this USD, and change the color of the font. So you can do it by click on tooltips, and then you can format that. Let's say sales information of, if you want to add a field, you can insert and then select the thing that you want to add. Say I'm going to select the years of order date, right? And then put it like this one. Maybe I'm going to, I want this year to be in bold and maybe the font in red. And the cell, some cell here, maybe in the capital, in the bold black, and USD. Okay, and done. And then when you can see that when you outline here, you have adjust the visual of the tooltip according to the specification. And very simple, comparing to the work that we have been done so far. When you do the job in writing program, you remember, right? We need to, well, creating an interface using in C and Python, creating that. You can see that the commercial software is quite nice. That is, you kind of, but you need to specify the detail quite a lot here. All right, so this is it. You can create a bar chart of multiple measurements. Say because there are multiple measures here, you can create a bar chart of multiple measure by dragging the measure name and here and measure value. So I'm dragging measure name to column. Then I will get, but there's nothing show here because I still have not dragged the measure value into the row. Then you get this one All this would be the count of values and the sum of value, which I will remove some of them out. I will remove this out. In removing, you can just click on this and then click remove, or you can just throw it out. Count order, yeah, that would do. No, too small. Count people, I want to show that. Maybe count this count, no. Profit, no mind. The sale, you see, you control quantities, sales, and profit altogether, okay? And you can even reformat this, like you want measure name to be in color as well. You can drag measure name to color and we show you different color. Okay, so I have already done that, remove the filter. So now let's create other type of chart. Now I'm going to create the, let's say, if you want to, remember in the data model course, when you want to display distribution of two numerical variables, what types of plot? Two numerical, right? Two numbers, numerical variables. What types of plots should you use in order to see the distribution of two numerical variables? Put it down. Well, I need answer. Please help me. Histogram, no. Histogram is just for one numerical variables. Now we have two, like you want to see relationship between profit and sales. What types of plot? Correct, scatter, right? To create a scatter plot, you need to drag the two measure onto column and row, okay? You know, when I use this for the first time and I try to create the scatter plot, it's quite confusing because sometimes there's no explanation here. Like, okay, just drag sell and profit, right? So I'm going to drag profit to column. Okay, got this one. Drag row into drag sales into row. Right, got this one point. What does this mean? Can anyone tell me what the hell, what happens? Needs to speak nicely because starting to share it, right? What happens? Why do I get only 1 point? Why? This is the correct behavior. It's supposed to happen this way, but can you guess why is it happening?
Because it bought it's not a categorical. It's about what do you call measurables, right?
Yeah. And why we got only 1 point? It is the sum, correct. This is an aggregated version. Tableau always, like I emphasized before, for measure, right? Tableau will aggregate the value. That's why we see it here, aggregation, some profit and some sales. If you want it to be not aggregated, right? There are multiple ways to do that. We will see, right? Now this will, I'll first show you, this is called the aggregated scatter plot. And this is the name that I think it should be defined. So aggregated scatter plots is mean that you now got the aggregated values and one value. Now we are going to cut this value into multiple pieces. I'm going to slice this one according to category. So I'm going to drag category onto color. Right now I got 3 points, right? 3 marks. If you look at down here, 3 marks. I got 3 points. Each point contains the data from the same categories. This is aggregated scatter plot. You can see from 1 mark, now it becomes 3 marks. Now let's drag the subcategory onto the shape. Ask you because there are many subcategories, like 70 member. Recommend maximum is 10. So what do you want to do? You want to filter it? No, I'm going to add all member. Right? So this will show you the subcategories, right? And the category dividing the aggregation. right? This is called aggregated scatter plot, right? Scatter plot that comes from the aggregation of data. The unit of analysis of this type of plot will depend on the category that you use, depend on the dimension that you use. Okay, this type of graph is good to compare between different level of categories. It's good if you want to see the trends in category. All right. So this is aggregated scatter plot. Okay. The graph are different, so I'm going to explain that. So what do you see? What do you see here? Now try to interpret this. I will point at something out later on, but what do you see in the graph? Remember, this is about a shop, right? This shop sells online products. No, it sells products online. Now it sells the product online. So what do you see here? How about this is the profit axis. This is the sale axis. What does this point mean? You have high value of sales, right? But the whole thing, when you take a look at that, you got deficit instead of having benefit, right? But you got lots of sales. This is like the more you sell, the worse you got, right? Because you lose money by selling this. Maybe because the pricing is not right, maybe because this furniture need to be stored for a long time and then it's hard to sell, so whatever. But yeah, from the data it shows that you have problem with this type and this type, the bookcase and the table. These two are in the furniture category, right? The one that is in furniture that is quite okay is the share, right? The share, you got profit from the share in the total values. Okay, so here you can see that there are lots of subcategory that have very low sale and low profit down here. All right, so these are the things that you can observe from this type of plot. This is the aggregated scatter plot. Okay, next is the scatter plot. So aggregated scatter plot is good if you want to see like in groups, but if you want to see data from individual, say for now, individual points, what should we do? Then we can deselect, analysis, and aggregate measure. I I'm going to create a new one, create a new sheet, and then profit, double click, sell, double click, then got this 1 point, right? I'm going to deselect aggregate measure. Once deselected, what you get here would be each row of the data. Okay, this would be each row of the data. This graph, I would call it the unaggregated scatter plot, right? From individual point. But say this might be good that it allow you to see the general trends of data, but you might want to take a look inside. You need to remove the outlier first in order to see the inside. And when you click on this point, then there is no option to remove the point, right? Usually there will be option to remove the point. For example, in example sheet 5, say if I want to remove this group out, I can just click it and then click exclude. Then it will exclude this point out, put it into the filter. Okay, but you cannot do that here. The reason is that in an aggregated version, the system would not know what to be used as ID. It did not know which column to be used as ID. And if it doesn't know which to use, it cannot remove it using filter because it needs a key to use as a filter. Okay, so And that makes this type of scatter plot not good if you don't have the proper key, right? So one way to do that is to create an aggregated scatter plot, but you can use the order ID as the key by dropping it into detail. Right? Anything that is dropped into detail will be used as partitioning variables. If we use as a grouping variable, so we would have the order ID as the group, and then this would be the profit and sales of each order ID. And once you do that, you can click on the point and then exclude that out. Right, and then, well, it's just like zooming into the data. You can select multiple points. And then right click or mouse over, and then there's an option here, exclude. Right, you're kind of zooming in into the data, but allow you to explore the pattern of the data better here. Okay, right click to the point, you can exclude it out. You can zoom in into the part that you like. Right, so this is all for my part for today, is to introduce you to this nice software. And you can use it starting from this course, you can use it up until you graduate for free. You can use it to create a graph. This is a lot better than Excel in creating a graph. And then I suppose that you need to encounter this situation a lot, that you got data and you need to display either from my class, from the other class, from your own program, from your own project, or maybe if you participate in competition, you encounter this situation as well. You can use this in your learning at Cambridge here. All right. The lab today would be for you to use the Superstore data and then create 2 or 3 visualization, right? And then explain it. And explain in terms of business question, and then create the visualization, the answer that you get from the visualization, and some explanation there. Okay, so last time in the lab number 2, is it group work or individual work? I don't remember. Remind me, please.
Individual.
Individual, right? So this will be individual as well. Okay, we've got a week to do this. Any question? So I can create the graph and show you different cool things as yeah, I'm telling you that I'm going to show you how to create the table calculation. So I can put the cell here and order date here, and then zoom in into the month level. This is the order date. Say creating the site now. I'm going to format the axis. Format everything in the sheet. For the workbook, I'm going to increase the size to 20. Okay. Now, see, these are the line chart of each year of this data. So sometimes in the business, you want to know the growth each year instead of just the value. So besides showing you this is just the value, I want to know the growth or the cumulative sum of each year. So I'm going to change this to running total. In running total, it will show you the growth of each year comparing to the beginning. So you see the accumulative values of each of the sum of each month. Or you can create the table calculation. You can create a difference. Say you want to know the difference between this year and the last years. Then we can create a quick table calculation and the difference. And this would show you the difference between months. What happens if you want to show the difference between years? You can change this to clear calculation again. You can do this by clicking at table calculation and then go to here, year-over-year growth. Then it will show you the year-over-year growth at the rate that you can see that here in February, it grew from the last year by 150%. and the rate of growth kind of decrease but increase in January. So here it will show you different data, the rate of growth in different months, and allow you to do that. You can change here as well. You can do some cool thing like this one. I can put the order date into this and change this to month, and drag the month onto the row and create a table. And then I can drag the profit onto, say, text. And then I got this text table. Let me increase the size again. Here, right? I got this nice table that show you the value, the profit obtained each month, right? And then if you want to create heat map, just like in data model, then you can click color and then, oh no, sorry. What should I do? All right, you can drag some, say you need to do this. Well, you can drag profit again and then put it into color, and you get this profit in color, the text in color. Well, if you don't want the text, you can just remove the text out and you get this one. But still, you want if you want the color together with the text, but you want the color this way, just using color and click label and show mark label, and then show you this one. Right? This is the heat map that you can create in the Tableau. Okay. So, well, you can see that, well, there are many things to learn here. I don't have enough time in this big data course to teach you all of the nice thing about Tableau. We would need about one course to cover, well, about, I would say, half of the semester to cover everything here. My suggestion is for you guys to look at the online content. At Tableau, there will be this Tableau online learning. Right. In the Tableau here, there's this option, learning. Let's click here, and there would be 3 free training video, which you can learn it by yourself, right? On how to use each of these, right? It would explain from the start to the end. These are free, so don't have to pay, and contains quite a good explanation on the latest version of Tableau here, right? So I hope I interest you guys on this software. It's quite good. I work with several companies. They all use this visualization software like AS, FWD, the banks, many banks, they use this as well for creating a visualization from the data directly, or from visualizing the result of the program. And who use this software? It would be operator that they can use this to monitor what happened currently. It can be the management that can view the data, view the results, and use that to craft the policies. All right. So this is the Tableau software, and yeah, this is quite a deviation from the Python. I think that it will be the only lecture that contains only a simple software. You said like this one. The other, you need to access like you need to access command line, doing the coding on Jupyter to code to write to perform that big data analytics. Yeah, right. But once you got that big data deployed, you can also connect Tableau to the big data system, right? And then it will allow you to enhance the data visualization to make it faster, especially when you work with a large size of data, like gigabyte of data. You just imagine open an Excel file size like 50 megabyte. Your computer is already complaining that you cannot open Excel 50 megabyte, right? Imagine open like a gigabyte of Excel file. It would not work. You need to have a better way to do the job. Right? And this is the way. Okay. Any questions? Please ask away. The deadline is next week. All right. If there aren't any questions, yeah, could explain why should we use quick calculation again? Oh, sure. Okay. Why do we need to use quick? I would say, why do we need to use table calculation? When you're creating a graph like this one, say I'm putting the sales here and the years. Okay, the years here. Right. These are the graph of the change of sales each year, right? You can see that Tableau aggregate the data according to the green button here, right? It calculates some sales, and then it used the blue, the dimension, to divide the data into point, and then create a visual. Right? So this is the way to create the graph. Or most of the graph it will be like this: to combine the data together as one chunk, and then slice them according to the dimension. But in real life, in business process, many times we would be interested in using data from multiple points together. Like, for example, you might want to calculate the cumulative sum, right? You might want to compare the data starting from the beginning of the year and see what changed, right? You might want to see just that, compare year to date. Let me explain it further. You might want to see the year to date. Year to date means that starting from the first up to this day, what is the cumulative sale? And then we can compare for each, like March, whether you get the same amount or not, right? So, but to perform business analysis here, you can see that just dividing the data into point and create graph is not enough. You might want to transform it into a more insightful graph, like this line graph. Right? I can transform it into the table calculation, but you need to know what they are. Right? To year-to-date total. Year-to-date, what does that mean? Year-to-date means that this will accumulate this value starting from the beginning of the year up to that moment. So from this will show the year-to-date of each month. Say, I don't think the line this would convey information well. I'm going to change it to circle, okay? Or maybe to bar, right? These are the year-to-date of the sale value. Now, if I were to click on October, no, this is not good. How to click on every October? Click down here. No. This is October 2020. Okay, I know. So I need to move it here, I suppose. Now this is good for your year-to-date. Oops. Okay, so say I want to compare October. I'll just click October here, October here, October here, and October here. Right, you can see that by having it as year-to-date, we can see that the last 2 years, it performed better, where we're getting more money at this month. But if we take a look at, say, April, no, maybe March. Right, March, oh, March. Right, March. You will see that for March, they are about the same until just the last year. like that it becomes better. No. There should be a better way to select this. Maybe I drag months to say here, detail, no. If I just, maybe I'll just show highlighter. Yeah, let's do that. And then change the highlight to format highlighter. No, I just can just highlight which month. I can highlight October. Yeah, here is highlight the October. I can highlight January. Oh no, that's the first month. I can highlight, say, May. And you can see that by using table calculation, you calculate something that needs multiple cells, right? Multiple bar, multiple value, like this one. May is calculated based on the prior bars, right? Need to calculate further. So this is the table calculation. In finance, accounting, project management, other type process, they will all require you to perform calculation based on not just one value, but from multiple values and combine them together. And that's the reason of the table calculation, all right? Okay, any more questions? Try to get skill here. I guarantee that this matters in your resume, right? Matters a lot. Actually, the courses that I teach matters to your resume. You say, well, you can use Hadoop, can write Spark, matters a lot to your resume when you go to work, right? The technology is not gone. It's still there. It requires a lot of people, particularly right now, right? In the market, in the job market, people who can work with data engineer and creating visualization are really needed in almost all companies in Thailand. You can find jobs almost in every company. I would say every big company, right, in Thailand. Right? So yeah, so try get familiar with this. My suggestion would be that you should go to Tableau site, learn them, right, in the basic sense, and then if possible, find resources to learn the more advanced configuration, like how to create dashboard and stories to pull things together, creating interaction like this. Oh yeah, I forgot to show this cool thing. This thing, double click, show the state, putting cells to color. Oh, no, let's put profit to color. Okay, and then I'm going to create a dashboard that show the map and show the side-by-side bar chart and show the running cells. How are they showing it? Yes, running cell would do. Okay. And maybe I can create another category and cells as this. Oh, sorry, I forgot to switch the screen. Yeah, I'm trying to, sorry, I'm trying to show you, someone told me, I'm trying to show you this. I have created the map. I have created the bar, this, and then combine them here. Right. Maybe put it to float. Removing the title, and you can drag it over here. Maybe I want to show Go to this one. I want to show the label. Oh, no, never mind. I want to show you category and the label. And yeah, this will change to category in the label as well. And you can also use this as filter. And once you click on particular location in the map, everything will change according to the interaction. See, this is quite useful, especially if you want to like dig down into the data. Okay, so for example, you want to know why this state, why this location has deficit. You can click there, then you will see that there is a downward trend here. Comparing to this one has the upward trend, and this person is responsible for that. And you can see the different category and segments. You see that rearranging it here allow people who investigate the matters to be able to see the structure in data easily by doing data visualization. Okay, any other questions? Right. Okay, if not, let's call it a day. Thank you for participating here. I will work on this one. I have already finished editing and encoding the file. I will upload the last lecture today, right now, after the class. And in the meantime, I'm going to edit this and then upload it very soon as well. All right, so thank you everyone for joining today. Yeah, see you next time. Next time we'll go back to Python and let's have more fun there. Okay, you have 1 week to do your assignment, right? If you have any questions about the assignment or the lab, please ask us, right, as soon as possible. Okay, see you again next week. For today's, let's call it a day. Bye-bye.